Swiss banking money pouring in Venezuela. Is that going to happen? Well, today we are going to discuss. Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com. Today we're going to talk about the possibility and is, circling around of Swiss big financial investment firms pouring money in Venezuela. And the answer is it's very likely. And I'm going to read just, the highlights of a recent report of UBS, that is one of the major Swiss financial firms, did an excellent and actually fairly simple analysis on everything that I've been saying on the past 5 years. So you guys, so it's basically everything that I just said on the past half a decade. The difference is, you're paying a hefty premium on professional services. So if you want to go a little bit slightly cheaper, come to me. If you want to go, and pay hefty premiums, go with the Swiss banks. But anyway, you're going to get blue chip information. That's what I love about this report. This report is called Venezuela the Day After Tomorrow. And I'm just going to mention a few highlights. First, they talk about the oil reserves in Venezuela. Well, that's basically, how you start talking about Venezuelan economics. Right now, thanks to the sanctions and the political situation in Venezuela, the oil is being sold at the open market with discounts between 10 and 15%. That discount, I think, is higher right now. I think, no, I know it's higher right now, 25 to 30% right now, but they are producing more. But when the political situation gets resolved, yeah, that discount is going to be zero bound. Also, they talk about the infrastructure, and PDVSA, the state-owned oil company, needs some revamping, but the infrastructure is there. This is something I always tell you. The infrastructure is already there. Just needs, some extra love. And requires an investment of roughly 10 to 20 billion. That's my estimate, could be 50 billion on the highest estimate, but it's actually easier to be done compared to the expectation. So, but they also mentioned that on this particular report. They also mentioned, this is very important. I have beaten this dead horse already, and the people on UBS are doing the same. That the costs of producing oil in Venezuela are actually roughly $30 per barrel. So right afterwards, the Venezuelan oil becomes economically, economically interesting. You make a profit on that. You get on the green numbers. Good on that. Also, they mentioned the good old Professor Monaldi, that we already did a video about him. We've done a couple of videos in the past about the good old Professor Monaldi. He says that the oil production could be increased 250,000 per year, year over year, so compounded, after a political change. My estimation is higher actually, but it's not as sustained. So I think that we can get the 3.5 million mark on 5 years. According to Dr. Monaldi, it's gonna be like in 10 to 15 years. My expectation is between 5 to 7 years. So on that regard, are way more bullish than both Dr. Monaldi and UBS. I think we can have years of not sustained, but we can have years of 500,000 increases year over year, but not every year, not compounded. Okay. They also mentioned the non-oil economy. They mentioned on agriculture, Venezuela has a lot of fertile land. Agree on that regard. Also, they mentioned the collapse of, according to UBS, minus 75% of real GDP collapse. That's congruent with the estimates that I always gave you. Something very important, I love the UBS mentions this, is the human capital diaspora. They mentioned that not only the quantity, 8 million
8 million migrants all over the world, but also that the quality, not only in quantity, but the quality of these people is great. Well educated, professionals, STEM degrees, yada, 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 small business that they haven't had the opportunity in order to compound their abilities in order to create wealth. Either because they stay in Venezuela with little to no opportunity, or they went abroad and getting, traction in another country. Yeah, it creates extra friction. But it mentions that, and this is very important, according to UBS, that not everyone is gonna return home, but from that 8 million, if we can get back 10 to 20%, that I think is very conservative, that will be 800,000, 1.6 million extra people demanding goods, services, housing, investing, yada, 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 yada. So excellent opportunity. So the estimate is very conservative of UBS, zero point 0.8 million to 1.6 million. My estimate is 3 million actually of remigration. Now that's catching up that particular term. Other industries in Venezuela that are important and are very unappreciated right now: agriculture, mining, tourism. But other industry that is not mentioned here on this report that I talk a lot is commerce. There is a lot of pent up demand. 26 years almost of pent up demand. So commerce is going to be important, and of course different manufacturing and things like that have a lot of room to grow, and UBS is mentioning that there is a lot of room to grow and less competition that compared to other markets. Also, a couple of interesting things that UBS mentions that are a plus in order to invest in Venezuela are the same time zone the US, more specifically the East Coast, the proximity, the geographical location, yada, yada, yada. So on those particular, let's say, soft characteristics about Venezuela that can translate to hard returns. And I completely agree on that regard. And since right now I'm not on the same time zone that Venezuela, and I'm struggling a little bit more to do my job, well, yeah, I think I see the value of being on the same time the East Coast of the United States. Now, they also mentioned the geopolitical implications, since right now the Maduro's de facto government is more inclined, Russia, China, Iran, basically underperforming economies, except for China, but yeah, that's for another day. Now, realigning Venezuela with more Western, more capitalistic, free market economies like the US is going to give a huge upside to Venezuela, not only economics, but on foreign affairs. Now, Venezuela is basically, the Maduro's government is a pariah in the rest of the world because, they are what they are. And that will change with a more Western friendly political leaders like, Maria Corina Machado. And lastly, they talk about the Venezuelan bonds. Remember, this week we already discussed about Venezuelan bonds. And the statement, according to the analyst here on UBS, says they are not for adding risk, but rather to reduce exposure. And I agree, depending on your particular strategy in Venezuela. So there you have it. Swiss money is gonna pour in Venezuela, and they are very optimistic. The people from UBS, they give you the same analysis that I've been giving you from 5 years. So please, if you believe this particular analysis, which I agree, like 95%, well, you can come. You can come here to my business, or you can go and pay an extra premium, to say the least, to UBS. But anyways, the thing that makes me happy here about this analysis is these people are on the right direction. So from what I'm seeing right now on this whole, political turmoil and now military standoff, is that both the bonds and Swiss banks, the quote unquote smart money, are going towards the right direction. Meanwhile, these geopolitical analysts that they don't know anything about Venezuela or the oil industry or yada 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 yada, they'll give you terrible information. So you decide. Smart money, where the smart money is going, where the terrible geopolitical analysts are going. So that's up to you.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, venezuelainsider.com. Thanks again and have a nice day.